evening, gang. This is the Factivist report again for the 16th. So, yes, there will be two, and we will post them on different days, separate days. But this is one that
Actually, there would be three now, but yeah.
okay. Well, no. Well, oh, no, because I'm going to attach that other one to the first video.
To the first, oh, okay.
We're
Yeah.
good. There'll be two.
Okay. Yeah.
There'll
Me too.
Yeah. So, we actually recorded this one last week, but we had some kind of a voice anomaly at the end that I simply could not edit and have the video be right. So we're re-recording it this week for you. We're talking about the house, Long Island. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. So here's Dave, because he lives on Long Island.
Here's what I will say. There are four races, and I do not want to hear anyone tell me this candidate is not progressive enough. This candidate is giving us breadcrumbs and red meat issues such as infrastructure. What would you want them to do? We live on an island surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean that the beaches are receding. We have polluted water. What do you want them to say? I'm asking all of you. Well, Dave, they're not progressive enough. Neither was Adam Frisch. And we got Lauren Boebert. We have right now one Democratic House rep on Long Island, and that is Tom Suozzi in New York 3, because George Santos was a lunatic and a criminal that was so bad that he got kicked out of Congress. And Tom Suozzi had to come out of retirement to run as a Democrat. Tom Suozzi does not have a moderate agenda, or he is not a Republican. I've heard that too, and we had that conversation. He
Apologize,
is,
by the way.
I know, he is a Democrat. I have I have been following Tom Suozzi for a very long time. He is in a very affluent section of Long Island, and he represents those people of Long Island. So to say he supports big money donors are in his district. Please attempt to look at the big picture before you speak or speak against someone or vote for someone that actually is a red herring candidate, such as a Matzi Phillip, who lost against
I'm Swazi.
Mr. Suozzi. Before I go into the presentation, I want people to understand there is someone that I am working with Act Blue. They didn't even realize that Matzi Phillip was running as a Democrat to begin with against Tom Suozzi to corrupt that election, I guess is the best way to put it. She was put in there as a Republican plant. Once she lost that election, she switched to the Republican Party. We all need to look at a big picture. Every candidate that I am showing you meets our criteria for a Democratic candidate. They don't support Republican candidates. They do not push for legislation against people or against civil rights. All right. That is basically what we look at. And none of them are doing that. So we're going to support all of these candidates, including the one in my district, which I actually like this individual, very much so. Uh, so let's start this. I'm just going to go down the line and basically present the candidates that are running. There are there's one I believe that isn't decided. The New York State primaries are on June 25th. So that's coming up. I think it's not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday.
That's a week from this Tuesday.
Right. So vote for who you want. We will support who wins, including, but not limited to, the people we spoke about last week,
Right.
such as whoever wins between George Latimer and Jamal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Richie Torres, and all of the candidates. I have a list of all representatives in the New York district, in the New York districts for the U.S. House. There are 28 of them. I'm going to go over the Long Island district because despite Long Island voting uh, Democrat in terms of the president, it was all red until Tom Suozzi won the special election because George Santos is a criminal
We
and he
need
got kicked out.
we need to flip seats in New York. We need to take the House back. End of
Yep.
story. No excuse for losing a 9-seat lead. None.
Right. We're going to start. We're going to start. Okay, there we go. We are going to start. So here's a list of all of them. The first four are what the people we're going to talk about. Nicola Lota, he's in the first district. He's a Republican. Andrew Garbarino, Republican. He's in my district. Tom Suozzi and Anthony Desposito. Tom Suozzi is a Democrat. He won. He needs to win. So this is an article from CBS talking about the red wave didn't appear nationally, but on Long Island, it was an entirely different story. Guys, we need to stop. It hurts my heart that this is happening. A lot of it is because of gerrymandering, but if we get the vote out, we have a shot at these districts.
If you get the vote out, if Democrats vote at 70% of registration capacity, we can beat the gerrymandering. They win when we take it easy. That's the only time the GOP wins.
Now, there's a New York first. This is a primary. John Avalon is the guy who's being supported basically by the establishment, DNC in New York. He was a CNN analyst, and he is saying all the right things. He is not the most, let's say, classically experienced, but he is well versed on the issues. This is John Avalon. Okay. Ex-CNN anchor John Avalon, backed by big name Democrats in Long Island Congress bid. If you have an issue with the whole, the corporate Democrats, blah, 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 there's another candidate.
Big name Dems don't necessarily mean corporate Dems. There are a lot of big name Dems.
Well, that's the implication.
Yeah.
There, but
this isn't the time to even fucking worry about.
I know what you're saying. This is the candidate running against him in the primary. She is a Harvard grad with a degree in chemistry and a PhD in organic chemistry. So she's a scientist. Again, another person who follows data, a journalist who is known for research, and a scientist who is known for research.
He ran in 2020 also.
She did. So pick your candidate. That's New York one. And this is her website, by the way. So next, we have Nick LaLota, who is running against whoever wins that primary. And we did this last week. Every single Republican candidate on Long Island voted to denounce the horrors of socialism. Deb, would you like to elaborate on what they're basically saying?
The horrors of socialism means any kind of safety net or any kind of program that helps the average American person in their minds. So that means Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, welfare payments, anything that would help the average person, where the government extends some kind of financial assistance to people, is socialism in their minds. It's not even what socialism is. Right. They are social service programs, but it is not socialism. Again, another dog whistle word that they use. By the way, let me just say something else here. As far as Social Security, Medicare, we pay taxes in to pay for those programs. Those are earned benefits. They are not giveaways, but they will take those away from you folks while they continue to make sure you pay your taxes. The GOP is intent on cutting Social Security. That would be a disaster for Americans, including Americans who support Donald Trump, by the way.
One more that I'd like to mention, because this is huge in Brooklyn and Queens and everything, everywhere else. And the Working Families Party, rightfully so, fights for these issues. But where you might get breadcrumbs with one Democratic candidate, you will get nothing from the Republican candidate, and that is housing assistance. Okay. That's another one. That's another big one. Food stamps is another huge one, especially in some of the depressed areas.
I mean,
in New York
the
City.
Republican Party is a party that wanted to cut the Head Start program for kids. Come on, folks.
Student lunch or lunch programs, some specifically taking student lunches away from kids who identify as gay.
Right.
I mean, so here, oh, there you go. Oh, they showed a picture of a parasite. I was going to say, here is Andrew Garbarino, but Andrew Garbarino is my rep. He has been for a little while. He is an avid Trump supporter. He's a MAGA head. He's one of those guys who supported Trump's claim that Trump actually won the election. He's one of those guys. Okay. And again, take a look at his vote, denouncing the horrors of socialism. And I know in my district, in the New York second, that there are a ton of people who count on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Here's just here is an example of Andrew Garbarino basically being a puppet for Trump. Republican lawmakers want to keep part of Biden's climate law, but it might not be doable because Trump wouldn't want to do it.
Tough shit, Andrew. You put your eggs in that basket. Now you live with it. And so does everybody else in the state of New York. But you know what?
Right.
Your people know.
Be a man, do what you want to do, push for who you want to push for, or push for the issues you want to push for, and don't blame Trump because Daddy wouldn't let me do it. I don't want to hear that. This is who is running against Andrew Garbarino, and I will support him. By the way, Deb and I have talked about this. I do have the link already. I will probably put it in this video. Act Blue links so you can donate directly if you like. We typically don't do that and don't ask for money, but for the general elections, these people need money. It is a necessity. It is a resource that these people need to run for office. And I support this gentleman. Not only does he support human rights, he also pushes very hard on infrastructure issues. And again, I don't want to hear about it. Oh, he's for business, blah blah blah. Stop. So this is his uh this is his campaign page. You can take a look at it. He also uses social media very effectively because he's running a low-key campaign. So Deb has said it before, social media will be very, very instrumental in getting some of these candidates elected. So he is running under the Working Families Party ticket, and I wholeheartedly support him. Couple things here. One thing I want to mention. He does talk about the human rights issues. He does call against right wing talking points and all of that. There's one thing that I wanted to show you. Right. If elected, Donald Trump has promised to take away our health care. My opponent supports these amoral values, and I can attest to that. This is him talking about the anniversary of D-Day. And just for a second, talk about that. Trump's talk about soldiers being losers and why do they give their lives up? What's in it for them? I mean, okay. So this was a letter that he sent to Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul has backed off on her proposal on this. I sent this letter back in March, speaking out against the anti-business congestion pricing plan and its effect on Long Islanders. I'm pleased to see the governor adhere to the concerns voiced by myself and others, and she pulled back on it. It was basically extra taxation on people in regards to transportation. So slamming Andrew Garbarino for criticizing Alvin Bragg. But there's one, and it's down here. Oh yeah,
Look at it, it's Uncle Tim. Uncle Tim's
Tim
cabin.
Scott. Okay, good. So Rob Lubin is a Jewish American. This is a clear cut example of anti-Semitism. Maniac screams, I'm going to kill all the Jews as he tries to run down students outside a New York City Jewish school. By the way, this is the only time I've heard about this. I hear tons about the Israeli Hamas war, but not about this kind of thing, which is clear cut. Okay, let's continue to invest in American infrastructure. He's one of the first candidates in years that I've heard talk about this on Long Island. Now it is a theme now, and it's a theme that's a long time coming. And this is why I was scrolling down. The fire departments had been warning us, the scientists had been warning us. Long Island is an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We need to protect our beaches from erosion. This is not, this isn't debatable. He's fighting for infrastructure as well as the protection of human rights, which Andrew Garbarino could care less. He's a Trump supporter. So let's move on to the next individual. Tom Suozzi. He won the special election against Monty Phillip, or he won the primary, and then he won the special election. This is a heavily Democratic district, which should have never gone to George Santos in the first place. For those of you who say Tom Suozzi is a Republican, would you rather have Tom Santos back or George Santos back? Sorry. Cut the nonsense. Tom Suozzi's his webpage is right there. And here's the gentleman running against him. And I'm going to bring it up again.
Yeah, just take a look. He's got the look.
Yep. So his issues, when a Republican says, I do not support a national abortion ban, look out.
Yeah.
Because he didn't say, I support a woman's right to choose.
Yeah. He just said, I don't approve of a national abortion ban, but, the state's going to press whoever they want. That's basically what he's saying there.
Right.
But I will tell you this. There are enough people in the House who do support a national abortion ban. So even if he doesn't vote for it, it's not going to much matter. And I will tell you this, in spite of the fact that Donald Trump, insists that we've got abortion right where we want it, the states can handle it. I will promise you that if the GOP puts a national abortion ban bill on Donald Trump's desk, should he win, he will sign it.
Now, what I'm against are abortions in the final 3 months of pregnancy outside of specific circumstances. I would like to see his medical degree. I'm just saying. 80% of Americans agree with me on that position. Well, I'd like to see his data.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
What was the original row? 22 weeks?
Yeah. Was it 26 weeks or 22 weeks?
It wasn't. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Don't want to get into the weeds here, but I will always fight to ensure all women have the access and care that they need, as long as they meet the criteria that I've put out there.
Exactly.
Just real quick, because I was reading this as I was reading that, the Green New Deal and all those other out-of-touch climate policies are designed to control your life and limit your freedoms. Well, you're not going to have freedoms if you can't breathe. I don't even know what to tell you on that. We have contaminated groundwater that is expanding from Northrop Grumman Navy plant, and it is seeping into sections of my district. So I understand that this is Mrs. Suozzi's district, and this is the New York 3, but I'm against just putting a blind eye to it too. So there's Michael Petrie. And by the way, there you go. Oh, okay. No, I thought he was a rep before, but there's his platform a little better. We will immediately seal the southern border to all illegal immigration. Period, Deb. So that's basically a border wall.
Yeah, right.
He says he supports immigration and he's an Italian, blah, 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 but you got to do it legally, blah, blah, blah. Here's the final district. New York District 4. Guess what Mr. Esposito did? He denounced the horrors of socialism.
Of course he did. Of course he did. That's what.
Here's Laura Gilland. She became the first town supervisor in Hempstead in over 100 years. The issue was that the Republicans vowed to work with her and they didn't. What a shock.
Yeah.
So she was voted out of that and then ran against Esposito the last time and lost. Now, there are indications that she could win this term. This is a different election than last time. People know more. Things are coming out now. This is Laura Gillen. Okay. So right now, that's what we have. Let's see. I don't think yeah. Finally, this was the article about uh her description of what happened in her or in the town while she was town supervisor. She was able to help finalize certain projects for disadvantaged kids, parks, that sort of thing. She couldn't do as much as she'd like because of bipartisan politics.
Right.
So the more Democrats we get in, the more we will get done. And the more we push for Democrats and the more of a majority, this works both ways, by the way, the more room we have to push the Democratic Party to the left.
Right.
Okay. Deb and I just did a show about the Israel Hamas war and the issue of Israel. Do not allow that to be a factor in losing elections.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have a responsibility to this country first. If this country isn't saved, it will impact the entire world. I will tell you that.
People do complain, they do grouse that these candidates are not quote unquote progressive enough, will run a progressive candidate that will win. There was a progressive candidate in the New York 3rd that decided not to run because she felt it was more important that Tom Suozzi wins and wins that seat back because people know him. He is very well known and he's actually very well liked in that district.
Right.
And he does what he needs to do. And by the way, before anybody says that he doesn't believe in abortion, that is true. He is a devout Catholic. However, he does not allow that to drive his policy and to drive his legislation before anyone says anything about that. So here are the candidates. We will be putting up links at some point. I will give the link to Deb for Rob Lubin. I'm going to work on getting the other links. If you guys want to donate to him, great, awesome. I believe he is a candidate that the New York Second needs.
Yep.
I really do. I am sick and tired of listening to Andrew Garbarino and his nonsense. So if you want to vote for Dave's sanity, a vote for Rob Lubin would be much appreciated. Thank you very much. If anybody actually listens to this in the Long Island district of the New York Second. And not for nothing, if you don't live in the New York Second,
move there.
You can still donate. You can still donate to him. That's another thing that people always complain about. Oh, well, he's getting money outside of his district.
Guess what?
These house reps also represent the country.
They do. And guess what? I donate to candidates outside of my state. So, right. Because guess what? All these people, they may be elected by the people in the states, but guess what? They vote on all national bills. So everything that gets done affects everybody in the country.
The New York State primaries are June 25th. Please, if you are in a district, especially one that is a hotly contested, district or is a Long Island district, any Long Island district, please, please vote in the primary for your Democratic candidate. My goal is to at least retain the New York third and get one of these districts flipped blue. Please.
Let's do it, folks.
Do it. Especially it was the first one with the New York first. It was Goroff versus the CNN reporter.
Right.
Okay. Whoever you want to vote for. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear, oh, he's an establishment person, or oh, she's this, or he's that. You have a choice. Vote for the primary candidate you feel is better for you, and I will support them in the general election in November. That's what Deb and I have. Have a wonderful rest of your Father's Day. I know that there are fathers out there celebrating and barbecuing and all of that. Enjoy your day, but at the same time, we got a primary coming up. We got primaries coming up in other states too. So do not ignore the primaries. I do not want to hear primary bitterness after these primaries. It's going to happen. I know that. But can we, at least do your part? At least do your part in New York.
And then
And
vote
a
it out
list,
and
we
support the
have a
winning
list of
Democrat.
candidates. Yeah, we have a list of candidates and the sources. So if you don't know, and you can always look it up, obviously, uh, a lot of these primary races are already determined and there is no primary. That's fine, obviously, if the candidate's already chosen. But if you have a primary race going on, vote in the primary. Make it a habit. Don't say, well, this one's going to win anyway, blah, blah, blah. Make it a habit. We need to start getting back into the habit of voting in the primary. My primary is already closed anyway. I knew that. One other thing, those of you that I'm talking to that turn around and say, well, I really want to vote in the Democratic primary, but I know it's a closed primary and I'm still independent, talking to myself too. It's time to start registering as a Democrat or as a working families party or whatever you want to do. But you need to do that. By the way, moderate Democrats are Democrats. DSA members are Democrats. Working Family Party people are Democrats.
Right.
We need to stop that crap too and go to the table. We agree on most. Go to the table and figure things out. Hakeem Jeffries and AOC were able to do it. AOC's been able to do it with people like Nancy Pelosi. So come on, but we need to stop all the infighting and work it out. At least public infighting.
Right.
It just makes us look like a mess and doesn't help us with our ultimate goal, which is defeating fascism in 2024.
Right. Okay, gang. That's what we got. We'll be back next week. Have a good one.